Good evening. Thanks for tuning in and listening to my Friday night mini reading. Tonight's reading is a special one because I've decided to read a few poems, including a couple that I've read before in this series, uh, that have to do with the flamenco kitchen, which is my kitchen, and Paco de Nada, who is a great guitarist and painter and poet and one of my best friends. And I just saw him today, so I'm hoping that he's hearing this and his son has tuned in for us to us. So hopefully, Paco, you're hearing this. And for the folks who don't know, at some point I'll do a longer narrative about the kitchen because it is sort of a phenomenon. But starting in 1991 or 92, on Friday nights, we started making music in my kitchen. And at first, it just started with Paco, the guitarist, and myself on percussion, and playing and drinking and carrying on. And it developed into a happening. That is, the as we went further, and Paco brought me into a group that he was in, Dansante, with Camila Reese and a whole bunch of other folks, Delebi Saez, and anyway, as the Fridays progressed, more and more people started coming, more and more musicians started showing up, and it's become sort of an institution. Um, and that was a phone call that I could not take because I'm about to read. And I wonder if that was, let me see here. Um, anyway, I'm making a quick phone call here because that was Paco's son who was just calling me. Okay. Hey, Rob, were you able to tune in? Okay, I hope you did. Okay. Anyway, so uh, anyway, the flamenco kitchen turned into quite an event. A lot of different musicians, dancers, singers, artists, all kinds of folks come and went, come and gone. I can honestly say that in those 25, 26 years that we were jamming, that probably over 1,000 people came through this kitchen, um, including folks from other countries. And we have had recordings of some of our jams that appeared on various radio shows. And anyway, this first poem is called the Cocina creation story. And in the beginning, there was a flamenco guitarist playing sounds from brightly covered caravans and dark mountains. He was called to jam in a big, bright kitchen by a poet on bongos and fire and moonlight. The poet just wanted to make some music in his home, and to his amazement, this superb flamenco guitarist, Paco de Nada, was game. He was game for the adventure, and so sometime after 1991, two drunks with a taste for music and chaos and rhythm started playing and drinking. Every Friday, at first, just the two of them drinking and jamming and yelling and drinking, until Paco brought his demented protege into a group he was with, and suddenly dancers started appearing on Fridays, and the poet's wife and friends started to enjoy the sounds happening in that kitchen, and the Friday kitchen, the flamenco kitchen, la Cocina Flamenca, came to life, came to be a thing, a happening. And musicians, singers, dancers, interested and interesting people started appearing on the Friday nights, and the sounds and the love gathered energy and became alive. And the kitchen spirit drew in other great musicians, guitar wizard and linguist at large, John Catalano, the off-the-hook horn man and Irish conguero, Patrick Murphy, the lovely and gifted guitarist singer, La Jenny, and two beautiful baianas singing. They are Ziza, patient wife of the poet, and Monica, force of nature, percussion and voice, and now, 25 years later, this musical being has created a family, and you're feeling some of it now. And this next poem is based on a moment I had when we were still up in the barrio and during rehearsals in off Hummel Street in the old Brethren Church. And when just as we were getting ready to start a rehearsal, this little guy came running in, and this is the poem based on my interaction with him. And I mention a word called a cajon, which is a box drum. Okay? It has a false front and has a sound hole or sound holes in the back, which is one of the drums that I play. This is called Beauty is in the Eyes of the Cajon. Little guy, Marvin, scampering 6-year-old, missing front teeth, ebullient, running around the edges of flamenco dance lesson for younger students. I arrive near end of session, carrying odd shapes in black trash bags. What's that? He calls and runs around me a couple times as I unwrap 2 drums, an Irish bodrum frame drum, vehicle of my Eastern dreams, and the cajon, low, squat, wooden rectangle with false front screwed on to give snare sound, 6 holes in back. Marvin is intrigued. How do you do that? It's a drum, I begin to say as he moves around me. What happens with the eyes, he says, looking at the back of the cajon. My linear tape recorder says, those are sound holes. That's where the sound comes out. Go ahead, he says. And I sit on cajon, pound out a few beats, and he jumps back from putting his ear to the eyes, all smiles. Marvin is amazed. Hours later, I realize sound coming from the eyes, like hearing visions or tasting light, is spirit ineffable. I thank you, little man. Beauty is in the eyes of the cajon. And I never did get a chance to see Marvin again to read that poem to him. So I hope I get that chance someday. And this is just a general poem about flamenco, about my relationship to it. And this is called Flamenco is the Road. Out of swirling desert wind, full of castanets and lightning, up from the mines of northern mountains, pain so deep, words become useless. Smiling from a little window of a brightly colored wagon, flamenco, aquí me pareces, rattling my windows and loosening my spine, but you tricked me, flamenco. I thought I caught you in the dancer's hands, floreo, red leaves circling to the ground in October. I knew that I felt you in the thunderous moonlight of the trembling guitar, bulerías por solear. Yet you escaped me, flamenco, disappearing around corners in Andalusia, blending into shadows on a ghetto street in Harrisburg. I thought to address you, flamenco, with a loving, steady drum. But you're too sly, and you wink as I stumble past you, as you are always moving, then infinitely still. I look for your essence in the many stories, gypsies and Jews, Romans and Arabs. All of it turns to fog. All these words dissolve into blue haze, lifting only to show the road, sometimes asphalt, sometimes brick, always stained with blood. All there is the road. And the gypsies said, the road is the journey. And I say, flamenco is the road. And a couple short ones to end it up. This is one that I have read before here. And it comes from the name of this really beautiful flamenco guitar piece, one of the old songs, one of the canteondos. That's called a Petenera. And this is just called the Petenera of the Hidden Sailor. Tell her quietly, I am here. With minor chords and sevenths, I will wait for her by the cloud-filled synagogue near the dark-skinned man with the strange guitar. And one of the very rare poems that I've written in Spanish, and it's the title means before the jam at the Flamenco Kitchen. Antes de la juerga en la cocina flamenca, ya viene el flamenco, vino tinto, velas encendidas, silencio raro en la cocina antes de la juerga, el cajón en la sombra, expectativa de qué, duende, no sé, nunca se sabe. Abre la rioja, empiezas. And the last one, also a short one. This one in Spanglish, called Poema del Fridayu. Viento andaluz, tree of guitars y caracoles, copas vacías y full botellas, un poeta half-crazed y su cajón espera, anticipa. The call of no sé qué. Another viernes, smiles and tomorrow, questions, comentarios. Al fulano simpático with red eyes y una sonrisa parcial. Okay. Thanks for listening. And I hope Paco got to hear this. And that everybody's doing well. Hope to see you next week. And be safe, be secure, listen to music, love somebody. See ya.